Hey MVPs, Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about Auburn today, right? We're doing win totals like I have been with all the other teams. Remember, we're going alphabetical by team. If you want to see which teams I've covered, go to the playlist. If you're on Patreon, go to collections. If you're on YouTube, there's a playlist. Only MVPs can see it, so make sure you have your valid MVP subscription, and then we'll see the win total. So let's get down with Auburn. You see it here. The sportsbook have them at 7.5. Please be careful. The sportsbooks have moved. Vanderbilt. Oh no, they're still 2.5. Some books have them at 3.5. Careful with that. Some books have them at 3. I know they moved, like I said, they moved Arkansas down, which makes it a lot harder. They moved them from 5.5 to 4.5, things like that. But we're looking at Auburn. It's at 7.5 wins. Let's go see how they look. Remember, head coach Hugh Freeze coming in last year, first season with the team, trying to figure some things out. His offense coordinator is Philip Montgomery. This is the former head coach at Tulsa. He's since fired. Right, they got rid of him. So, but you look at here, they dominated UMass, no surprise. A terrible, ugly game against Cal. I think Cal should have won the game, but there was some terrible stuff going on there. Beating Samford, no surprise. And then not really matching up well with the SEC for the most part. They didn't start getting competitive till later in the season, which is great for a coach like Hugh Freeze showing, hey, after weeks of practice, we get better. Right, you buy into my system, we get better. We know Hugh Freeze is a good coach as long as he's not ordering prostitutes. So when you look at them against Mississippi State, get it done. They were a train wreck. Vanderbilt, get it done. Arkansas, another train wreck. And then they get blown out by New Mexico. And what you can see here, New Mexico State, they were a 10-win team. And the entirety of New Mexico State's team has essentially transferred to Vandy, just so you know. But you look at New Mexico State, it was a trap game. They were getting 2 weeks to prepare for that Alabama, and they wanted to beat Alabama so bad. And they should have won the game. They should have beat Alabama. Some people will argue that they should have beat Ole Miss or at least been competitive with Ole Miss. So there's 2 games there that they could have pulled out. But what I saw from Auburn is the team that they are now, you know, they just can't get over that hump with the elite teams. Senior Latin teams with continuity. They're just not beating those teams. That's why New Mexico State beat them. They just had a team that believed in all of each other, and shout out to Diego Pavia. So when you go and look at their team, and I meant to pull up their stats here, excuse me. You go look at their quarterback play, they still have Peyton Thorne. This is the Michigan State transfer. He's back after having a very, very average year. This is a dual threat guy. He can actually run the rock a lot. He's very athletic, if you didn't know, but he was sacked 31 times. But he could run all day. Robbie Ashford, his only skill set is running, and that's why he transferred to South Carolina. I don't think Robbie was ever going to be a threat. Hank Brown is back. Holden Griner back. Everybody got to play in the spring game, and I'll talk about it in a few. I'll tell you what's going on here, but I don't know if anybody's really a threat to Peyton Thorne simply because he's done this before, but everybody's new to the offense. There is no continuity. Everybody's new to the offense. So you don't have a head start from everybody else outside of the fact you've been doing it at the college level for a long time. But you're not so good that you can go out there and throw 3 interceptions in the game. I think if Peyton Thorne throws 3 interceptions in a game, he's got to look over his shoulder. Are they going to bench me? And that type of stuff does happen to him. Jarquez Hunter, supposed to be the greatest running back with a sex tape. He is good. He is good. I don't know if he impacts your win-loss total because, you know, you're at the mercy of your quarterback play. You really are. But he's the leading rusher. Second leading rusher on the team is Peyton Thorne, like I told you. A dual-threat quarterback that nobody really talks about. A lot of design runs. Can't get the ball to his receiver, so he tucks it and run. It's really weird. Damari Austin played small school ball here in Georgia. I want to say he played at Callaway, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. But big back. Big, powerful back. And he'll be who they rely on. Brian Battie, R.I.P. He's not dead yet. They said there was a setback. Hugh Freeze just posted that on Twitter yesterday. There was a setback after his surgery. He was shot in the head at a hookah lounge. His brother was killed. Robbie Ashford, like I said, has departed. Jeremiah Cobb is back. He was special in his given time. When I saw him in the spring game, I just saw a guy running into linemen and not doing it right, but more power to him. Sean Jackson, man, I wish that guy all the well. I always believe in Sean Jackson. That was a preferred walk-on. I always thought he was very good. Everything I saw, I liked that kid, okay? Justin Jones doesn't pop on tape for me. The rest of these guys, nothing to talk about. Receivers, Rivaldo Fairweather, their tight end. He's a good player. He's big. He knows how to use his body. Great body control for a tight end. Transfer coming in from FIU. Led the team in receiving. That's never supposed to happen. But that's a product of a quarterback not having confidence in his arm, not knowing how to throw it deep, and just checking it down. That's the reality of the situation. Javarius Johnson, he just hit the transfer portal. He's gone. Forgot where he went. I apologize. I should know that off the top of my head, and I don't. And I did. I mean, I know him. I've been talking about him on Twitter for the last week now, 2 weeks. Good player. Jay Fair, speed little dude, speed demon. Went to USC. Caleb Burton, Ohio State transfer, back on the team. Shane Hook's gone, out of eligibility. Jarquez Hunter doesn't matter. Some of these guys don't matter. You're not going to see a whole lot of these guys. Shout out to Jair Shorter here, one of my favorite wide receivers that joined them from North Texas. He actually just transferred to Memphis. I believe in that man. He's got big playability. I hope he's injury-free and we can do it. Kickers, they're going to be fine from what I saw in the spring game. Eugene Asante, coming back. Now, this is why people believe in Auburn. Eugene Asante coming back. Team's leading tackler, 5 sacks. He's coming back. Larry Nixon III, a North Texas transfer, just like Jair Shorter, gone. No longer eligible. No more eligibility. He's done. Jalen McLeod coming back. Keontae Scott coming back. Right. Donovan Kaufman hit the transfer portal. I believe NC State. Don't quote me. Pretty sure. Cam Riley, Florida State, gone. Justin Rogers, NFL. Couple guys, NFL. It's no big deal. They got a lot of guys coming back that were leading them in tackles. So, if you think that's a good thing, they were terrible. They're coming back. They got to be better, but they weren't that good. Like, to be real, do you want the guys that couldn't beat anyone in the SEC? Do you want them all back? I don't. I'm just being real. So, looking at the depth chart, we'll talk about it. Cam Coleman, 5-star freshman, showed up in the spring game, scored. He's out there. He looks like a man amongst boys. He's probably better than most of the receivers on this team. Obviously, they got Big Play Dre, Keandre Lambert-Smith. I call him Big Play Dre. Coming over from Penn State. That is the leading receiver at Penn State. Coming down to Auburn. They needed it. Robert Lewis coming over from Georgia State. They needed it. So a whole new receiver core. No continuity. Got to work on the timing. Got to figure it out. I'm not excited about that. Okay? I'm not excited at all. There's Caleb Burton, the third. Brought in Sam Jackson, former Cal quarterback. He's going back to wide receiver. That's what he played in high school when his quarterback was Peyton Thorne. By the way, they won a bunch of state titles, and it wasn't just them two. They had Jaden Reed, and they had another kid who went to Michigan State. Oh, man, forgetting his name right now. White guy, wide receiver. Cade McDonald. So the whole crew they were legit. They were legit, and he was the younger kid, Sam Jackson, but there we go. Going down to the defense, they bring in Trill Carter from Minnesota, Texas, and now at Auburn. Just a 300-pound body to put in there. Gage Keys from Minnesota as well. Another 300-pound body to put in there. It's just big bodies to rotate in, and they got a ton of those in the transfer portal. I'll talk about it. You can never have enough big guys is what they say, right? I already told you all the returning leading tacklers are there. The one X factor here is Jaron Thompson. Jaron Thompson started 30-something games at Texas. Yes, he's injury prone from time to time, but when he's healthy, this is a bona fide NFL caliber player. So he showed up in the spring game, played out of his mind, rightfully so. He was the MVP of the A game, so that's a problem right there. That's a good player. It's a good problem to have, right? You bring him in, and now we got other dudes on the bench. They had to address this issue in the secondary. We'll see what happens with this defense. I don't think it's going to matter because I don't know if they can score. I really don't. I don't know if they can score. I didn't mean to skip over the offensive line. Let me say something about this offensive line. So you have Dylan Wade. Dylan Wade's a transfer from Tulsa. Came over here with his offensive coordinator. Managed to stay. Here's what's crazy. Jaden Muskrat, same exact thing. Another Tulsa transfer. They did not play the same position. And now they magically do, and they're saying they back each other up. I don't believe that. I think Jaden Muskrat is good enough to start. I just don't know where. I don't know what's going on. Okay, one kid they brought in, this guy right here, Miller, he came in from a junior college. I didn't get any tape of him on the JUCO, but they're telling me he's good enough to be their guy. They penciled him in. Dylan Senda came in from Northwestern when they got rid of all the players. We'll talk about it, and they got some more depth in the transfer portal. I'll talk about when I go to the transfer portal players. So, did not mean to skip the offensive line or the tight ends. I don't know why I did that. What made me jump like that? Not sure. I was talking about something else. Let me go back and talk about this. Tight end, they're good. Quarterbacks, I don't like any of them, really. I don't like any of them. I'm going to tell you who I like. I'll show you in a few here. And then running backs, there's another freshman or a younger kid that popped on tape, but they're all very good. Like, they got good running backs. It's Auburn. So, Keon Crawford coming over from Arkansas State. This is an edge rusher. I think he had 6 sacks this year. But I turn on the tape, I just see a guy who was really good at Arkansas State. I didn't think he was special at all. I'm being real. But they needed another edge rusher, and he wanted to go cash in. So he's coming to Auburn. He's cashing in. I don't think he can play at the SEC level. I'd expect his stats to go way down. That's just me. All right. Keandre Lambert-Smith, we know he can play. It looks like a known commodity, but he's going to have really bad quarterback play, so we'll figure that out. Isaiah Rakes, not a fan. I think Isaiah Rakes circumvented a rule where you can't transfer from one SEC school to another. So he was at A&M. If you transfer after the winter, if you transfer in the spring from one SEC school to another, you have to sit out the year. You're not eligible for that year, something to that effect. So what he did was he transferred to USC for the winter. And then after going to USC, he decided, well, I can't play here. I'm going to leave. And now he's going to Auburn. I watched this tape. I never thought he could play at any of these places. He actually liked my comment when I talked about it on Twitter. And he said, thanks for the motivation, whatever. Yeah, all right, dude. Do you, bro. I know that they're just grabbing huge body guys to just get up there and rotate. It's the SEC. We got to rotate 300-pound defensive linemen. More power to you. I don't think Isaiah Rakes is very good. Philip Bliddy. I don't know how to say it. Former Texas Tech kid. Went to Indiana last year, and now he's at Auburn. Another big body in the rotation. Congratulations. Ronan Chambers. They gave him an extra star with the transfer portal. He's been at Akron for 4 years. I don't think he belongs at Auburn. I don't. You could be a multi-year starter at Akron. I don't think he belongs at Auburn. He transferred. It's his final year or last 2 years, whatever he's got left. He's not going to start. I think he's just added depth in case of injuries and whatnot. I don't understand it. Not at all. I think it's a terrible transfer. He was probably Sun Belt caliber, maybe another team in the MAC caliber, but definitely not SEC caliber. Not from what I saw on tape. And I watched every Akron game. I mean, I watched every game. So I go back and watch every single piece of film you got. And when I look at it, I go, oh, no, this guy don't belong here. But he finally, he got a lot of little offers. And then at the very end, he got an Auburn offer, and he took it. That's dumb. Dude, they don't want you. You're not at that caliber. If you were at that caliber, you would have got other Power 5 offers. If you're getting nothing but Group of 5 offers, you are a Group of 5 player. It isn't your lucky day when Auburn calls. It just doesn't make any sense. Antonio Kite leaving Alabama. He was only there 1 year, just recently. He's an Alabama kid, so it just makes sense go over. Didn't ever play for Alabama. Just a freshman. Jaron Thompson, like I said, complete stud. Trill Carter, just a big body. Doesn't really move me that much on tape. Percy Lewis, more depth on the offensive line. Maybe he can be a starter. I don't know. Gage Keys, never been impressed with him. Never. Okay? Him and Brooks, they both left and they went to Kansas. They both left Minnesota, went to Kansas, and now he's here. I'm never been impressed. Sam Jackson, probably a better quarterback than Thorne and these other boys, just so you know. Dorian Mousey, I like him. Shout out to Duke. Robert Lewis, he's a player. He can do his thing. I like Jakari Carter. I turn on the tape for Georgia State wide receivers. I'm looking at them, and I like Carter better. And Carter went to Albany, FCS school. So that's a former FCS All-American. Transferred to Georgia State. Didn't really work out. It was like the team's third leading receiver. Robert Lewis is a speed demon little guy, though. So he just kind of takes the place of Jay Fair. We'll see if he gets in the rotation. Rico Walker, tight end. Backup Maryland tight end. I don't understand the appeal. Everybody's signing backup Maryland tight ends. Alabama did it last season with C.J. Dippre. Now they're doing it right here. It doesn't make sense to me. Who do they lose in the transfer portal? Coy Moore was a receiver on the team, but not really in the rotation. I don't know where he's going to end up. I would say Colton Hood was a big loss. This is a corner that was probably going to be in there too deep. Going to Colorado is a big deal. This young man, and he took his brother with him. So his brother's a star running back here in Georgia, 2024 kid. The fact that both Hood brothers just took off and left and went to Colorado, it sucks for Auburn, okay? So that's not a good one. Wesley Steiner, linebacker, going to Washington State. They just got a guy who was on the field and got to play. Jay Fair, like I said, team's leading receiver, really, until there was some issues with the quarterback play. But he's going to USC. USC got themselves a player. Ryan played a little bit. He's going to Houston. I like Brenton Williams. Brenton Williams, he's an Alabama kid. going to Auburn, and then it didn't work out, and he's like, hey, you know what? I'm going to go to Liberty. I like that move. Donovan Kaufman actually got a lot of playing time going to NC State. Cam Riley, a lot of playing time. He's been a starter. He's huge. 6'5", 240, going to Florida State. Robbie Ashford, I don't understand why he's transferring to South Carolina. Somebody needs to stop telling this kid he can play at this level. He belongs in the FCS. Javarius Johnson, I couldn't remember where he went. It was UCF. There you go. Austin Osbury going to LSU. Just a young kid, never played. Going back home, not a big deal. Denard, not a big deal, going to Mississippi State. Not sure where Marquise Gilbert ends up. Tyler Fromm going to Georgia Southern. Amari Kelly, Middle Tennessee. Yeah, these guys are kind of inconsequential. And I would tell you that Jair Shorter, not a big deal losing him, but I'm excited for Memphis to get him. Anise Sledge going to Illinois. Just a big body kid. Remember, we're just moving around 300-pound kids. They just don't grow them on trees. So let's just get that guy. That guy, he can't play at all, bro. He can't play at all. I don't even understand it. More power to you. This is what they needed to be doing. Going down to McNeese. Like, that's what they need to be doing. Anyways, that being said, something you need to know. Freshman, Walker White. Walker White, barring transfers and everything else, looks like the type of caliber quarterback you need to win games in the SEC. Walker White has an incredibly strong arm. I saw him in the spring game. I've watched his tape. I'm convinced Walker White will be a starting quarterback at the FBS level for whatever team gives him a chance. I think he's better than a lot of people. I think that's a real quarterback right there. That guy is grown. He's developed. I like Walker White. Bryce Cain, good player. Small, good player. So Bryce Cain, Walker White, so far stick out to me like crazy. Obviously, Cam Coleman's already in the 2 deep. There's no reason to talk about it. He looks great. But that guy, nobody's talking about. And he's not on the depth chart for our lads. They only list 3 quarterbacks. But I would think Walker White is ahead of Griner right now. And he's probably pushing Hank Brown a lot. I think Walker White's right on the verge. And then, he's one bad game from Peyton Thorne being in the game. Walker White is one bad game away from being the starting quarterback at Auburn. And it's going to give them a huge amount of upside. But for right now, this is what they got. And it feels like I can't believe in Auburn, I want to tell you. So, look, I have them beating Alabama A&M. I do. I have them beating Cal. The game was really close last year. And I think that Cal missed their chance. They missed their chance to win this game. Hugh Freeze has got them. They're building and growing. And Cal, I like their players. I could be wrong here. It feels like a coin flip, but I'm going to give it to Auburn. Okay? They're beating New Mexico. I have them beating Arkansas. So that's 4 wins right now. No. Maybe 5. Maybe and then 6. And I say maybe 5 because I already watched that Vanderbilt roster beat the hell out of them when they played at New Mexico State. New Mexico State coaches all hired at Vandy. Vandy, offensive coordinator, quarterback, star receivers, tight end, like everybody's there. Okay, so it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, where are they going to get their wins? I see 1. If you want to say Vandy, that's 2. 3. 4, 5, 6. We see 6 wins, and then they have to try to beat Oklahoma. I don't see it. Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky, A&M, or Alabama. I don't see it, and that's 6. And the reason I bring that up is the books have them at 7.5. They somehow have to. I don't even see them getting to 7. They got to get to 8 to hit the over. I think it's a complete lock on the under. Complete lock. I don't think there's a chance in hell Auburn wins 8 games. Personally. I'm telling you, I look at that team, and I'm just like, nah, no, not with that schedule. Even if you have them beating Vandy, and you have them beating Cal, if that's what you believe is going to go down, then let's do it. That still only puts them at 6. They have to beat A&M. They have to beat somebody else. So I have them on an under, and it's a 3-unit lock, and I don't have any 3-unit. I got a 5-unit lock here. 3-unit lock, Ohio State. It's very rare for me to do a 3-unit lock. I feel like that's a bet you need to make. Auburn under 3-unit lock. Do what you want. You guys can fade them. You can believe me. You can not believe me. It doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, when we get my whole record down at the end of the year and we find out how many units won, because we're gonna apply $100 to every one of these, and then we're gonna go and do the results and tell you how much you would have won if you made every single one of these bets. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be thousands of dollars. And this one right here, 3 units is $300. So that's how I feel about Auburn. Your unit size could be $20. Okay, 3 units, Auburn under. I don't see them getting to 8 games. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, y'all.